if I was looking at the market, I'd certainly be excited about nickel long term. And I would be looking at the intrinsic value, and I'd be thinking, how do I get my hands on that? So, yeah, look, can you for the sake of our viewers, talk a little bit about that, because I think you are a takeover target.
No, and look, I look at some of the transactions that have happened just recently. So you've got Oz Minerals acquired by BHP, and obviously there's copper in South Australia and Brazil, but one of the major reasons why they bought that was because of the West Musgrave project. 25,000 tonnes of nickel concentrate coming into the system. Part of I'm sure the reason to do that deal was to then underwrite the sort of 110,000 tonnes of nickel they need to for the smelter, and obviously they're talking about a major refurbishment of that in the next few years. You've had obviously Western Areas being taken over by IGO, $1.3 billion, and then Wyloo taking over Mincor for $750 million. And then even on a smaller scale, but still relative, you've got Canadian fund Kinterra taking over Cannon Resources for Mount Fisher. I think that was a $45 million transaction for 80%. So if you sort of look at it, 130,000 tonnes of nickel, no processing plant, an asset that would require either a plant and a mine to be built, or to a mine anyway and then process the ore somewhere else. They've paid sort of about $450 a resource tonne. And if you use that metric, plus then you add our concentrators, you can quite easily come up with multiples of our market cap. So either investors recognise that, or somebody else decides to recognise it earlier. And and that's always the situation when, in my mind, when value is here and price is there. As I said, there's two ways to make up the gap. You can get there sort of via sort of successful, exploration, restart, all those other into production and that way, and nickel price going through, or somebody decides to jump over the fence and sort of add value themselves. And that's always a risk when prices are low. And I'm sure that there are certain groups in WA that would be having a good look over the fence. And full disclosure, we've got all that information out there. Everybody knows what the feasibility study looks like. So they're able to do some pretty good desktop work, and depending on what nickel price you use, they could decide whether they thought we were cheap or expensive. And so be interested to see what happens in the next few months. But where you can't operate your business on that basis, but you've got to be ready for that. So we know what we think our business is worth, and we've done a lot of and the great thing is having recent takeovers like Mincor and like Western Areas and the Cannon Resources by Kinterra, you can actually do some metrics, ton of resource, nickel resource, what a concentrator will cost, all those things you can do. And I think we've got very strategic assets in a nickel province that's hungry for nickel feed. You've got Wyloo and IGO talking about building a refinery down in Kwinana. I'm sure that they'll do that, and I think that to do that, they're going to want to have more nickel units coming through the system. We're going to potentially have at least 30,000 tonnes. If we go for the expansion project, we could be talking, a multiple of that. So we've got some exciting assets. We're near-term production, 12 months to get the plant refurbished and operating. So I think there's definitely, with a market cap of sub 100, people must be having a look.